All right, thanks for joining us for another Be Extraordinary podcast, our internal version. Craig Giblisco, one of my favorite last names. By the way, second time joining us.
Correct.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you again.
Well, hey, man, look, we're a year in to your journey as a senior agent, and you just qualified last month, third tier, your best month. I think some of the language that you used is it's coming easier than ever. You've been a grinder. I mean, look. There's very rare moments that when I leave the office, anytime I stay here late, you're usually here later. But clearly something shifted. So I want to talk about what's shifted, and let's explore what's shifted and not make assumptions on what's shifted. But bring me into your numbers the last 90 days, my friend.
Yeah, so we'll start back in April. And I feel like at least in terms of like volume, obviously last month increased. But April I had 43 true referrals, 44 ops. So it's usually, a lot of my referrals are true referrals. Policy count 34, had 7 autos and 63,000 in premium. Mm-hmm. May, we have 53 true referrals and ops, same number. 18 policies, 2 autos, just under 30,000.
Yep.
And then June, we have 64 true referrals, 73 ops, 47 policies, and 14 autos, and 74,000 in premium.
Yeah, so pretty big uptick in opportunities from, say April to June, and then also just really a higher closing percentage. You look at autos in May, like non-existent, and then you go boom. All of a sudden we're talking about 14, 15 autos. Which is great. What I want to circle back to is that one thing you've done really well since you've been here is to seek out counsel. Almost it feels like weekly, you're coming down the hall and saying, hey, man, what should I be reading? What should I be listening to? And what's cool about it is that I know you listen to it, and I know you read it. And like when you got with Brett and he was like, hey, we start working out, dude. And you were like, start working out. All right, like, cool. Like, I'll start working out, right? And so now you're on this journey, but I think the layer of it is I am seeking mentorship and I'm coachable and I'm inviting it. And at times that may be uncomfortable because you go like, oh, well, I did ask. I didn't expect that answer. Like, I didn't expect for him to tell me to start working out, right? Like that, I thought he was going to tell me, like, what do I say on this call? But even more,
what I was expecting.
Right, but even more recently, I heard you role playing and how to sell umbrella, and you had mentioned something before we got on. Maybe you speak to this because a lot of it goes, well, what's different about your numbers, right? And you go, well, I don't know. It's just I'm approaching the role with a different level of posture, and so you were even talking about, hey, what I'm saying may not be that much different, but I was kind of intending that maybe how you're saying it is different. So bring me into kind of what you're experiencing the last 30, 60 days, and maybe what are some of the things that you've gotten maybe from your mentorship with Rod or Brett or Eric or anybody that's giving you a nugget and go, okay, let me apply that. Let me do that. Let me say that.
Right, yeah, and it's come from a lot of different people too. I take nuggets from these guys here in the sales pit all day long. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing them on the phone. They're all really great. You saw my numbers in May. They were, at least in true referrals, it seemed, pretty similar to June, maybe 10 less. But it was a really strange month for me just because, like, it felt like everything was going the same. I just wasn't closing anything. And it was so weird. I'd never really had a month like that. So it kind of, made me look inside, and I was like, okay, what can I change? And it really was just like the posture. I don't, know the exact day when it happened. Obviously, I was seeking, your and Brett's counsel, Rod's counsel, and we were role playing. Obviously, that was very uncomfortable for me just because I've never really done it before.
Yep. I heard you guys outside role playing, and literally Brett was, no, start again.
Yeah, we had to start it over. I was so uncomfortable. I was failing miserably at it just because I'd never really done it. But he's like, hey, you got to create a problem. Which I'm still, not great at, but, trying to put it more into play every day. But yeah, just the conversations with people, it's more of like the confidence and the posture, like, hey, I actually am a sales professional. I can do this. I do have this posture about me. Like, hey, I can sell anything you need. I can tell you about anything you need in terms of coverage wise. And just carrying that into clients who, maybe never have dealt with homeowners insurance before, never dealt with, an agent before, or, if they've had 5 or 6 homes, they still need that counsel too.
Yeah.
So it's just having that, different level of posture.
Yeah, it's so what's interesting is like I just got off a coaching call, and it was talking about the process of, number one, set an intention. What do I want? Okay, let me set that intention, right? You clearly said, hey, I want to be a top producer. I want to be in sales. I want to grow my income. I want more. How do I do that? Okay, I've set an intention. All right, and then number 2, I'm going to align my actions with that intention and commit to the process, right? Committing to the process, I'm going to read the books. I'm going to listen to podcasts. I'm going to do the role play that makes me uncomfortable. I'm going to ask advice, right? And then the third step is to surrender to how it shows up, right? Which is interesting because we're sitting here and you've kind of done all 3 steps. You've set an intention. You've aligned your actions with that intention, acted accordingly. And then 3, you're like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on. This month is just different. And so what can we all learn from that, I think, is a pretty cool thing. And I was listening to a podcast this morning on the way in about sales and tonality. And it was talking about how, because we talked about, well, I don't feel like I'm saying anything different, right? Would you say that?
Absolutely, yeah. It feels like I'm having the same conversations I've always had. It's just conversions higher. People are calling me back more.
Yeah.
Just getting more in the door and being able to close the door more. So
Yeah. And it was in the essence of the podcast, and this is why I'm curious. I was like, if you were going to listen to some call recordings, is so much of communication is nonverbal, but when you're over the phone, tonality and pace and all this stuff is what people end up hearing. And how the podcast was referencing that if you had 5 words that you were saying and you emphasized each one of those words differently, it's going to mean something and it's going to imply something different. So if you're taking, say, auto insurance, for example, hey, where are you at on the auto insurance? Or, hey, where are you at on the auto insurance? Or whatever it is, right? And where are you at on the auto insurance? Like, it all is different. And so I'm curious to see, you mentioned posture. And I think posture is not as much as what you say, but it's your music of how you're saying it. And the people that say, hey, I don't know, I got to believe that he believes what he's saying. Like, that's usually where people borrow from an energy, is they go, okay, he's pretty convicted. Yeah, and because he believes, I'll believe. That seems like a reasonable argument or a reasonable presentation. So I wonder how much of that is going on in your music with clients.
Right.
Yeah.
I've definitely slowed down. In my conversations, I tend to get really fast when I talk, especially when I'm trying to go over things and talk to people. I'm just like, hey, I've got the next thing. I got to go. So I've slowed down, started taking my time with clients more. And now that, a little bit more markets have opened up, it's kind of opened up the auto conversation for me more. I'm like, hey, certain carriers will allow, if the auto is within the agency, to have a discount. Would you be interested in that? You want me to? And I borrowed this language from Adam exactly because I heard him on the phone. He goes, hey, do you want me to check all of my markets for you? I have all of the options. I want to be able to check the full market for you, but I'm going to need your auto insurance just to be able to check that. Would you be open to that? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. Here it is. Yeah.
So you mean there's an option that you don't check all the markets, right? It's a little bit of the holding back the opportunity, and it's completely being transparent and truthful, because there are carriers that do give a discount if you have the auto insurance within the agency. I love that. Yeah, I love that. And you go, okay, yeah, I want the full experience for sure. Yeah, because the one thing is like, too, I think producers struggle with this. I know I did at times. It's like, okay, great, I got the volume, I got the leads, but now, man, like this auto thing, man, I can't get it. Yeah, of course, sometimes you have carriers that are more competitive than others. Sometimes you have MVRs that simply aren't clean and you can't place the business, open claims, whatever it is. But for the most part, how you prioritize the conversation, has that changed at all? Are you having the auto insurance conversation on the first call, second call? It sounds like maybe the first call, if you're saying, hey, let me check all my markets, do you want to be available to all the markets? Is that a first call conversation?
Usually is, yeah. I mean, it just depends on the client and their kind of availability. Sometimes people are like, hey, I only have like 5 minutes. So I'm like, hey, I'll start working on this, but then I circle back to it. But it's usually on the first conversation where I'm getting everything.
When you only have 5 minutes, this is getting pretty tactical, kind of off the rails. Do you schedule an appointment, or do you let them say, I'll get back to you?
You mean after like I send a quote out, or like
Yeah,
say,
hey, this is
just
Craig.
get some basic
Heard from
information?
you from XYZ Mortgage Broker. Congratulations on the new home. Is it a bad time? No, I got 5 minutes. Okay, great, cool. Well, look, if you only have 5 minutes, look, here's the intention. Maybe there's some language. I'd like to spend a little bit more time with you to make sure that we can get this moved forward with. Can I what about Tuesday or Thursday? Do you have a time? I have my calendar pulled up, so you don't even have to book it. Whatever it is. I'm just curious, at a rush customer, if there's an appointment scheduled, or those customers you go, okay, they're going quick. I'm going to go quick. I'm going to send them the quote and hope that they get back with me. There's no wrong answer. I'm just more curious.
Right. I mean, I don't use my calendar as well as I should. I know Adam's very tactical in how his calendar is set up. I'm more of like, hey, they're like, oh, I get off work at 3:00. Can I call you at 3:30? And I'm like, all right, perfect. I'll call you at 3:30, and we'll get more in depth with it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I operate with people.
Yeah. So you're kind of setting the tentative appointment regardless if it's on the schedule or not.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Talk to me about confidence, man. Like, one thing that is completely apparent, whether it's in any arena of performance, I think sports is one of the most obvious to see because it's on display in front of everyone. So if you're watching a basketball game and you can see somebody's in the zone, you're kind of like, dude, that guy's in the zone. Like, it just feels like every time he's touching the ball, like the minute it leaves its hand, I'm expecting it to go in. And do you feel a little bit of that after having a month like that where you go, you know what, when I'm making calls, I'm expecting things to go well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm on a heater right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm continuing the momentum right now, but yeah, it's definitely like, I mean, after you do it for a certain amount of time, you start, at least it's just for me, like something just kind of clicks, and I don't know when it happens. It just kind of happens. And then like the whole tone of the day kind of changes, and I'm just like, go. And I know like things are just going to start rolling.
Yeah.
Kind of like a snowball. Just, once it starts falling, it's game over.
Well, and I think cool too is you've been putting in the work, right? So I'm sure they're starting to see some evidence of stacking things up of like, yeah, like I'm pretty good. Like I know,
Right.
I know the markets. I'm working out. I'm reading. I'm a student. I'm a student of the game. I'm asking language. I'm role playing. I'm making myself. So when I get in the moment, so I was on my call this morning. I was talking about you want to stack evidence in the preparation, right? And this is me drawing from sports again. I want to be maniacal in my preparation for something, right? So if, like Steph Curry, right? You think that guy just shows up? No, that guy shoots X amount of shots a day, and he has been for 25 years. And, of course, now he's the greatest shooter of all time, so I'm close. And he makes these ridiculous shots, which he practices, so it's like, but in the moment, you can't be thinking about preparation, right? On the call, you want to be engaged to allow the flexibility of navigating this client and building rapport and asking a question. And you want to play. You want to play a little bit, right? You want to play loose. But, man, when I'm prepping and I have a call or I'm about to work a lead or I'm about to make a cold call, like, what do they say? Like an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of performance, right? Because if that little preparation, I just see you doing the work, and then I start to see it ooze out to allow yourself to kind of take some of the shackles off and take some of the expectations off of what do I say, how I say it, am I good enough, am I going to qualify this month? And I think people can borrow from that.
Right.
And I think that's where maybe some of this feel of like, yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm on a heater. I don't really know what it is. I'm not really doing anything different, but I'm showing up over a long period of time, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, all right, warm-ups are done, let's play.
Right.
Boom, phone's ringing, let me pick it up.
Exactly.
And that's great.
What Brett told me, it was probably in middle of May, and he's like, all right, on this call, I want you to ask for the auto insurance. He's like, I don't care how it goes. I don't care if he says no, whatever, ask for it, because I was obviously struggling that month. So I get done. I sold his homeowner's insurance policy, and then I got off the phone, and Brett looks over at me. He's like, did you ask him? I was like, no, I didn't ask. I got caught up, and, whatever excuse I made up. And he's like, all right, you're going to call him back right now. You're going to ask for his auto insurance, and then, if he doesn't, whatever, you're going to set a follow-up to when he can speak again, because closing was like, the next day or something. He was under the gun. So I did. He's like, yeah, I have about 5 cars down in South Florida. I've got a few rental properties. He's like, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about it. He's like, obviously closing's next week. So, we set an appointment for, the next, it was 2 weeks following. He didn't end up answering the phone, but still it was a good rep.
Everyone needs that moment.
Right.
And by the way, leaders, if you're listening, everyone's a leader here. Everyone needs that moment. I remember back, this was probably 2014, because we were brand new in this office. And, Matt Ekberg, the Ekberg team, was new to the business, relatively, 2 years in, something like that, and having trouble with the auto insurance, having trouble selling it. And you get kind of tired of saying, hey, like, ask for the auto insurance. I get it, but, like, I'm going to do the home and home. And then there was this moment where it was giving me the phone to do the auto insurance because he didn't want to lose the opportunity. And it was, no, you take it. Let's be willing to lose the opportunity. You have to figure out how to ask for auto insurance.
Right. And
I think that friction point where you're like, what do you mean you didn't ask, Craig? Pick up the phone right now and ask. Not next time, right? Because it's uncomfortable to call somebody back after you've already closed out your conversation. But I've always had moments where I could see leaders coming to me and saying, no, pick up the phone right now and call back. You just said you would, you didn't. And that sets this expectation for yourself of like this standard of like, okay, no, this is uncomfortable, but I have to walk in accordance. If I say I'm a top producer and I need to write autos, but I'm not asking for auto insurance, why do I continue to say that?
Right.
What has to change in my process that I ask for it every single time? And how can I seek out that accountability from somebody else? Because I'm going to do what's comfortable. That's what we're wired to do as humans. We have point B. We're looking for the easiest path to point A, point B. And so I have to get leverage on myself potentially by asking and inviting leaders to coach me. And for somebody like Brett to show up, no, do it right now, man. Pick up the phone. You just said you want to be a top producer. What are you doing? You're doing homeowners insurance only? You didn't ask for the auto?
Right.
I just love it, man. And I appreciate the honesty. And I would hope that anybody listening to this, it's okay where you are. But let's not continue to say that we want things if we're not willing to align our actions towards that. If we say we want to write more auto, are our actions aligned towards that? And if not, then how do we get accountability to align our actions? How do we seek out help? Hey, I don't know how to do this. Hey, I don't have time. I'm struggling. Whatever it is, that's what leadership's for. And so I just commend you on that because I think that's the underlying message of your story and why I wanted you to have back on here is the coachability factor. Because it's really easy to coach somebody when they invite the coaching. It's really, really hard to coach somebody when they know it all. And your ability to empty your cup and continue to empty your cup and allow people that have maybe been a little bit further down the road to pour in on that is leading to pretty cool success. And so I just want to encourage you today, man. I want to encourage you. I think you've kind of inspired, and I love the way that you bounce back. You have some months that you're not happy about. You continue on. But it's also like, I don't know, was there a look in the mirror conversation? Like you said about like, hey, last month was dog.
It was just so strange because I mean, even when like I was starting out, like obviously I just knew I didn't have enough leads. Once I did have enough leads, I was starting to tier and I was on like this crazy streak of tiering. And that was the first month I hadn't tiered since last July. So I was like, what happened? Like, did I, like, am I someone else? I don't know what happened. So yeah, it was really like a look in the mirror, like, hey, you got to change something you're doing in terms of conversations or something's got to change because we can't go with 18-2 and continue to think we're going to make money that way because it's not going to happen. So
and also I think there was an internal conversation that Eric brought to light, which I thought was very cool. For anybody with a comp plan, I mean, everyone's comp plan is different, but anybody with a comp plan knows, but especially these tiered comp plans, they're designed in a way that like the difference between first and third tier is a mortgage, right?
Yeah.
A big mortgage. So it's like, talk about accountability. Go home and tell your fiance the difference between first and third tier and do the math. And your fiance is going to be like, hey, why don't you hit third tier? Why don't you figure out how to write autos? Because we're talking sometimes $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for experienced agents, the difference between first and third tier. Easy. And it's designed that way on purpose because there's so much fruit on that other side of pick up the phone and call that person. Why didn't you ask him about auto insurance? Right? And so I just think it's cool to watch you experience the seasons. And I'll land the plane on this as you come into the role. It's been a year. You're new to it still. You come in and you go full on in the marketing, right? You're one of the first agents that said, I'll cold call, no problem. I'll walk in a place, no problem. Hey, Rod, what do I say? What do I do? Like very, very coachable in that regard. Volume. Okay, perfect. All right, now I figured out the volume part. I'm still going to grow my volume. You're not there yet. You're looking at the lead count. But now, like, I got to figure out how I sell better. And okay, perfect. Let me seek out mentorship. Let me figure out how I sell better. And then boom, evidence. You can sell. You can sell, right? And so I just commend you on that. And it'll be iteration of that. Then you'll create another problem. You'll get so busy. You'll be so selling. And you go, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. And then you'll have to get better there. And you'll have to ask different questions there. And I just commend you on it, man. I'm super proud. Somebody that, you know, shows up with you in workouts twice a week and shows up on calls. I just know you're doing the work. And so I appreciate it very much. I'm thrilled that you're having success.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on. I will say, last month, June, a lot of sorting. Never had to sort before, and that was a new muscle I had to flex, which was pretty cool. So,
how did you sort?
Just in terms of, all right, so like one of my top referral sources that's, you know, been through with me since the very beginning, he takes priority. And then, you know, if it's someone who's like, you know, they send once every a few months, whatever, you know, they're bottom of the list. You got to go between like bind orders, like, all right, this one's closing in a few days, so this one obviously takes priority. So it's just going through like, all right, you got to make a list of like what your priorities are. You know, sometimes you got to say, hey, I don't have the capacity to quote this mobile home from 1980. Sorry.
Yep. Let me ballpark it. Let me get it off my desk.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, if you can connect me with this, and this, I can work on it. Otherwise, it's going to be somewhere in between 2,000 and 3,000.
Right.
Yeah. Let me get out of that. Let me get that off my mental load. Let me focus on the priorities.
Exactly.
I think there's so much power in that. Obviously, we're doing some trainings on that right now. But I think that's so underrated, man. It's so underrated because you're always going to be forced to prioritize the perceived urgent and the perceived important urgent. And there's a lot of urgent stuff that's not important.
Correct.
Right? There's a lot of lenders that never send you the business, but they need that 1978
and they need it now.
18-year-old roof now. But what an opportunity to figure out, okay, let me sort, but let me go back and see if I can upgrade and explain and set an expectation of like, hey, wasn't able to deliver on this one, man. Obviously, whatever it is, it's just such a fun game if you allow it to be because it's just never ending.
Right.
There's just always a nuance to the nuance.
Always.
You know.
And if I'll even take a step further, if a client gave me their auto op with it, I have the deck page and everything, that takes priority. I'll drop everything I'm doing and work on that one.
You
it's
give
like
me
that's how I'm gonna get paid. So you know,
right.
I'm sorry, I gotta take that first.
Yeah, I love that, man. Like you give me a referral partner that sent a piece of business and another line considered and your attention, I'll move the world, man.
Right.
I'll move the world. You know, other than my kid's birthday party, I'm canceling anything else, right? So it's like, and I think that's fun to play with. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for being honest, vulnerable, continuing to show up. And I'm gonna challenge you, man. Don't be letting those calls go without asking for the car insurance. You're at a new level right now, and so act in accordance with the new level that you've risen to, and let your language follow this identity that you've created for yourself, and somebody that shows up the way that you're doing. Because you're no longer the new kid on the block. You're no longer you're still a young cat, but you're not the young cat coming straight out, you know, and trying to figure out the insurance business. You know a lot, you've done a lot, and trust yourself in that regard, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you, and I appreciate all the leadership you guys have had for me and all the coaching. I'm sure it'll continue because I'm not going to stop asking.
Yeah, I know. We know that. We know that. I got to have my podcast ready for you, dude. Like once a week, come down like, hey, man, what should I be listening to and reading? I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, what should I be listening to and reading? All right, man. Thank you, guys. Hopefully you're better for it. Appreciate you, Craig.
Thank you.